Hey guys, it's Vornskyr here, and today we're back in Euro Truck Sim 2, and we're taking a look at update 1.17. Now this isn't a particularly big update, but there is some pretty cool stuff that's come out with it. There's been a bit of optimization for the graphics engine and that sort of thing, so the game does seem to be running a lot smoother. There's also been some updates to the rendering engine, which means that the game does look a lot better, at least in my opinion. I'm not sure if you'll be able to notice it through like YouTube and all that sort of thing after the video's been compressed and all that, but for me, playing it right now, it does seem to be it does seem to look a lot nicer, and it seems to be running a lot smoother as well. I mean, I run at fairly high graphic settings since I've got my GTX 970, but even still, there was still a little bit of hitching every now and then, especially in the big cities. It seems to be running pretty well at the moment, so I haven't noticed a lot of that, and that's always a good thing. So there are some other changes as well. You might notice I've got this picture of this guy as my profile picture. We can actually change this now, so we can actually go up to edit the profile. And all of those kind of cartoony little images are gone now, so you can pick whatever you want out of all these guys. Look at him. Oh, hello. I'm not really sure if these guys are like employees of SCS or something like that, or if they're just random people that they took photos of. Probably not completely random. But yeah, so you don't have those little cartoon pictures anymore. It's actually real people, male and female, so you can pick to be whoever you want to be. So let's go for... Who are we going to go for? Let's... Decisions. God, there's so many pictures. Let's just go for this guy. I like him. I like the cut of his jib. I don't know why I said that. Alright. So that's the thing you can do. Anyway, there's also this DLC browser, which I haven't clicked on. I'm guessing that just opens up a Steam store page or something like that, so you can buy new DLC if you want to do that. So you've got the option if you want to do that. Anyway, another cool thing that I've noticed is there's actually a toggle for the exhaust brake. It's not really a big deal, but it's kind of a little bit more realistic than just having a button that you press down to have it active, at least if you don't have it on automatic. Because you got the automatic exhaust brake option and all that sort of thing. If you choose to do it manually, and that was the wrong button, but if you choose to do it manually, you can now actually have a toggle, which is kind of more realistic. And the good thing about this is that the code behind the exhaust brake and all that sort of thing has actually been changed so that the exhaust brake won't be active if you've got the clutch pressed in or if you're in neutral. So it will only work basically if you're in gear and driving and you take your foot off the accelerator. And that is, as far as I know, a far more realistic way of doing it. So that's pretty cool. And we'll probably see a bit of that as I just drive around in my old Peterbilt, which is actually pretty outdated, this mod now, but it still works, so it's always good. I don't think there's much else in the way of keyboard options or anything like that are new. I think the rest of it's pretty much the same as it was before. So anyway, let's drive for a little bit. Let's see if we can notice any changes. And we'll just have a look at around the outside and everything. So apparently the day-night cycle, the weather as well, has been changed a little bit. I do have my rain probability turned up, so hopefully we'll get a bit of rain. But as far as I can tell, the skybox and just the lighting in general just does seem to look a lot nicer than it did before. And you can see I'm panning around with the camera and everything, and it's all staying pretty smooth at 60 FPS. So that's always a good thing. But anyway, let's jump into the cockpit, turn off the hazard lights. Don't know why I had them on. And we'll just go for a bit of drive. And you can actually see, if we look down here, you might be able to see that switch on the middle of the dashboard, kind of toggling on and off. That is the exhaust brake button. A lot of trucks don't have buttons like that. This one does, so that's always good. But some trucks will also have, in the indicators, not indicators, but in the instrument panel, there'll be a light that comes on or something. Like when you've got your high beams on, there'll be there might be an exhaust brake light or something up there as well. But that's generally modded trucks that do that. Anyway, so what we might notice once I start moving and I try not to get taken out by that Pepsi truck. So as soon as I take my foot off the accelerator, the exhaust brake kicks in. So I toggle it off, nothing, toggle it on, exhaust brake. That's pretty cool. I don't know why I'm talking about it so much. It's not a particularly huge feature or anything, but it's just one of those little things, I guess. I kind of like it. And so you see if I go into neutral, got nothing. We do have something actually. It shouldn't be exhaust braking like that. I guess that's a bug because I'm in neutral. So I've got the clutch in now and nothing's happening. I guess it's Okay, that's weird. That's obviously a bug, because it actually wasn't doing that before. So I'm not sure why it's doing that. Anyway. I wonder if it's because I'm accelerating a little bit as I go into neutral. No. Okay, that's just a bit broken, I guess. Oh, there you go. You learn something new every day. Anyway, that wasn't really what I wanted to spend so long talking about, but whatever. So apparently the traffic and the AI simulation has been improved slightly as well. I haven't been able to notice a difference really, but I mean, they say that with pretty much every patch. It's probably just little small things behind the scenes that are being tweaked. I don't know. The AI in this game is always a bit crazy, a little bit odd. So it's kind of hard to tell sometimes when there are changes made to it. Anything that improves that is a good thing in my book. There's also been apparently some sound effects that have been changed for the DAF XF. I'm not actually using that. I mean, normally I would have that truck and be driving it around to notice the sound effects, but what I've realised with that is that I can't even tell when the new sound effects, like what they are. So it's because I don't use vanilla trucks at all, basically. I just can't really tell when they had new sound effects or not. It's probably not particularly great, but anyway. There's also apparently sound effects for the driver's seat and that sort of thing, like the seat bouncing around on springs or something like that. I haven't noticed any of those things, but it is in the patch notes that they've added those sound effects, so that's a thing. There's also some changes to the suspension modelling and that sort of thing. Again, not something I've really noticed. That's possibly because I'm driving a modded truck and one that hasn't been updated in a while, or at least I haven't updated it. So it could be that because the truck mod is a couple of versions out of date, it may not be showing those changes as much. I'm not really sure. Slow down for this turn a little bit. But yeah, all in all, it's a pretty cool patch. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't covered as well. There's apparently some changes to modding, so you may find that some of your old mods that weren't designed for 1.17 are out of date or no longer as efficient as they could be, or something like that. I'm not really sure what the full details of those modding changes are, but it's big enough that they've listed it in the patch notes, so be prepared for some mods to break, basically. I haven't had any problems with what I'm doing, the mods I'm using, and most of mine haven't been updated for a while, but it's just something to be aware of. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good, and a lot of this stuff is kind of preparation for the Scandinavia expansion, which is coming out in 2, maybe 3 days. So they obviously wanted to get this update out just before that expansion came out. Apparently they're also working on basically a day 1 update for the Scandinavia expansion. So that may have a few additional changes and that sort of thing. Although I think that's more likely to just be fixing problems with the Scandinavia expansion, to be honest. But yeah, so I'm not really sure what else to cover in this. Like I said, it's not a particularly big change, and a lot of the stuff is behind the scenes. There is some UI sort of stuff, so things like you can sort jobs by the sender and receiver name. So I guess that's pretty cool. So let's actually see if we can look at that, eh? So let's open that up. So we go to the job market, freight market. Hopefully it'll let me do this. Yeah. So now we can sort by sender or by recipient. So I guess if you really want to go to a certain drop-off point, say you wanted to go to a John Deere drop-off point, you could sort by recipient and just go to that. So that's an interesting little tweak. You know, the more options the better, is how I often feel about these sort of things. That being said, I don't think I'll ever use that at all, but I guess people do want to use it. That's probably why they've added it in. They must have had people requesting it, so that's always good. It's a nice little change. But yeah, so I think I'll end this one here. It's a pretty cool update. The most noticeable change is definitely just the rendering and, you know, the game looking a bit better. Of course, that is pretty subjective as well. I like how it looks a lot better than how it did before. Maybe there's something of a placebo effect though. It's hard to say. Some people may not like it at all. Hopefully, the graphics optimization will definitely be noticeable. I think I'm noticing it a fair bit, just in terms of my frame rate still being very smooth even while recording, but hopefully people on kind of lower end hardware will see some improvements from that as well, because that's obviously a good thing. More people playing the game, being able to play the game at better settings. That's always good. But yeah, so I think I'll end this one here. So there'll be a link to the patch notes in the video description, because there is a lot of stuff that I haven't talked about, so it's probably worth taking a bit of a look at. But yeah, so until next time, I've been Vornskyr, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.